The shipment arrived on a Wednesday morning, 3 wooden crates left outside the basement doors of the university library. Most of the staff ignored them. Old donations, forgotten volumes, another stack of dust to be shelved and forgotten. But I, David Carter, was assigned to catalog every page. The first 2 crates were nothing unusual. Mildew-stained hymnals, dictionaries with missing spines, brittle ledgers that crumbled under my fingers. But the 3rd crate was heavier. When I pried it open, the air that spilled out was colder than the hallway. Inside, beneath a torn canvas, lay a single book. Its leather binding was black, cracked as though burned long ago. Across the spine, one word was branded so deep into the hide, it looked like scar tissue. Index. There was no title page, no author, only names. Each page was filled from top to bottom with them, written in the same sharp, deliberate hand. Every name was followed by a date and a location. Some were centuries old, ink faded to brown. Others looked so fresh they gleamed under the light. The handwriting never changed. I frowned, flipping page after page. It was not a census, not a registry, not anything I could recognize. There was no order to it. A woman from Boston in 1921 beside a man from Florence in 1530. Families listed together, then strangers, then someone who might have lived only blocks away. I should have closed it, should have sent it upstairs with the rest of the forgotten books. Instead, I lingered, staring at the endless river of names. The basement lights flickered once. The pipes overhead groaned. A draft touched my neck, though no door was open. On impulse, I whispered one of the names aloud. The sound echoed too sharply, bouncing across the stone walls as though another voice had spoken with me. I stared at the page. The letters shimmered, as if wet, and for a moment I swore I saw them ripple. My heart hammered. I slammed the book shut and shoved the canvas back over it. "Get a grip, David," I muttered. "It is ink on paper. Nothing more." But I locked the basement door when I left, though no one else had a key. That night I dreamed of names scrolling past my eyes, endless and hungry. The one I had spoken repeated itself again and again until I woke with sweat freezing on my skin. The next morning, whispers moved through the library staff. A man had collapsed on the sidewalk across town. Heart failure, sudden, without warning. His name was the one I had spoken. I told myself I would lock the index away and never touch it again. But when I returned to the basement that afternoon, the book was already waiting. It sat in the middle of the sorting table, canvas folded neatly beside it, as if someone had placed it there on purpose. I had locked the door. No one else had a key. "David!" I jumped. Emily Rhodes stood in the doorway, arms full of returns. She was always curious, always sticking her nose where it did not belong. Her eyes fixed on the book immediately. "What is that?" "Nothing," I said too quickly. She set her books down and walked closer. "That does not look like nothing. That looks like treasure." I stepped in front of it, but she was quicker, slipping past me and flipping the cover open. Page after page of names stared back. Emily's smile widened. "Oh, wow, look at this. Every line is the same handwriting. This has to be centuries old." "Emily, close it," I snapped. "Now," she raised an eyebrow. "Relax, David. They are just names." I reached for the book, but she pulled it toward herself, scanning down the page. "Here," she said, and before I could stop her, she read aloud, clear as a bell. Richard Hall, Boston, 1987. The basement air shifted. The pipes overhead groaned. The ink of the name bled darker, as if the letters had been written that very moment. Emily laughed nervously. "That was strange. Did you see that?" I snatched the book from her and slammed it shut. "Do not ever do that again." She frowned. "Why? What is the big deal?" I opened my mouth to answer, but no words came. I could not tell her that 2 nights ago I had spoken a name and the man was dead by morning. I could not tell her that now she had done the same. The next day, the news spread across campus. A middle-aged man had collapsed in his car just outside the city. No signs of struggle, no health conditions, no explanation. His name was Richard Hall. Emily found me in the library office, pale as paper. She dropped the newspaper onto my desk. "Tell me this is a coincidence." I stared at the headline. Local man dies suddenly in parked car. Richard Hall, age 56. Emily's hands shook. I read that name. I said it out loud. And now he's dead. Before I could answer, a shadow filled the doorway. Father Matthew Clark stepped in, his face drawn tight. He was an old priest who sometimes lectured at the university, quiet and harmless. But when his eyes fell on the index, which I had foolishly left uncovered on the desk, his entire body stiffened. "Where did you find this?" His voice was low, sharp. Emily and I exchanged a glance. "It came in a shipment," I said, "from the archives." Father Matthew crossed himself. His gaze did not leave the book. "It should never have been sent here." "It should never have left Rome," Emily whispered. "What is it?" "The Index of the Forgotten," he said, each word heavy. "A manuscript written by those who believed death was salvation. Every name written in it belongs to a soul. Speak it, and the life ends. The church hid it centuries ago. I thought it destroyed." Emily shook her head. "That is impossible. It is just ink." Is it?" he asked. He opened the book with trembling hands. The page she had spoken from was still damp, the ink black and wet. "You said Richard Hall?" Emily nodded. Father Matthew closed his eyes. "Then his soul is gone. This is what it does. It takes. Always it takes." I wanted to shove the book off the desk, to burn it, to bury it. But even as I thought it, the leather binding seemed to breathe, waiting for another name. I could not think straight. Emily refused to leave my side, her face pale every time her eyes drifted toward the index. Father Matthew Clark told us to lock the book away, but when I demanded answers, he gave only warnings and prayers. So I turned to someone who would speak plainly. Dr. Henry Collins was a professor of history, a specialist in religious manuscripts. He had spent half his life digging through church archives, chasing rumors of forbidden texts. If anyone could tell me what we had uncovered, it was him. His office was buried in the far corner of the Humanities building. Books were stacked in teetering towers, papers covered every surface. When I set the index on his desk, he stopped mid-sentence, his eyes going wide behind his glasses. "Where did you get this?" he whispered. "It came in a shipment," I said. "From the archives, no explanation." He reached for the book with trembling fingers, but stopped just short of touching it, as if afraid it might bite. "Do you have any idea what this is?" Emily answered before I could. "Father Matthew called it the Index of the Forgotten. He said it was supposed to be destroyed." Henry let out a bitter laugh. "Destroyed? No, the church never destroys. They hide, they bury, they pretend things never existed, but they never truly burn them." His eyes finally met mine. "This manuscript is not a legend. It is real." I swallowed hard. "What is it?" Henry pulled a notebook from his shelf, flipping through pages of scrawled notes. "In the late 16th century, there was a sect within the church, monks who believed death was the only true form of salvation. They thought life itself was a sin, that by ending it, they were delivering souls to God's embrace. Heresy, of course, but powerful heresy." Emily shivered. "And they wrote names in this?" Henry nodded. "The index was their ledger. Every name they condemned, they recorded. Speak the name, and the life ends. The soul is consigned. That is the word used in the few records we have. Consigned, as if delivered into storage." I felt my stomach turn. Storage, like the book is keeping them. Henry closed the notebook, his face grim. That was the fear, that it does not merely kill, it collects, and once collected, there is no release. Emily shook her head. "This is insane. People cannot just vanish into ink." Henry leaned closer. Did you not already see it happen? Her lips pressed together, and she looked away. I opened the book carefully. The page still gleamed wet with Richard Hall's name. My reflection shimmered faintly in the ink, distorted as though another face looked back. I shut it quickly. Henry's hands gripped the edge of his desk. The Vatican sealed the index in Rome centuries ago. Only a few whispered reports survived. I never thought I would see it with my own eyes. How did it reach America? Does that matter? I asked. What matters is stopping it. Henry's expression hardened. Stopping it? Do you think anyone who has touched it can simply walk away? You have spoken a name, yes? I nodded, throat tight. Then it knows you. It will not let you go. The room seemed smaller, the air heavier. Emily's chair scraped against the floor as she backed away from the desk. Henry lowered his voice to a near whisper. There are rules, David. The sect recorded them. Do not read aloud. Do not write within. Do not remove names. If you break these, the index punishes, and the punishment is not death. It is worse. I wanted to shout at him, to demand what worse could possibly mean, but the words died in my throat. Henry finally touched the cover with one finger. He recoiled instantly, as if shocked. A drop of blood welled on his fingertip, though the leather was smooth. He stared at it in horror. It remembers, he said. Even a touch. It remembers everyone who opens it. Emily's voice shook. Then what do we do? Henry looked at me, his face pale. Pray that your name is not already inside. Kevin Price was the only person I trusted outside the library. We had grown up together, shared the same classrooms, the same small-town boredom, the same reckless nights. He had a sharp tongue, a quick temper, but beneath it all a loyalty I never doubted. When I told him I needed to talk, he came without hesitation. We met in the basement after hours, the index lying silent on the table between us. He laughed when he saw it. You dragged me down here for an old book? Carter, you are losing it. Just look, I said, my voice cracked. But do not say anything out loud. He flipped the cover open, scanning the endless list of names. So? It is a ledger, a registry. What am I supposed to be seeing? Emily crossed her arms. She had insisted on being present, though her face was pale. You're supposed to believe us when we say it kills. Kevin snorted. Kills? Right. Let me guess. Haunted ink, cursed paper, you both need sleep. I shoved the newspaper across the table. The headline screamed, Richard Hall found dead in his car, cause unknown. Kevin read it, then glanced at Emily. Coincidence. Say that again, she snapped. I read his name yesterday. I watched the ink change. Kevin leaned back, shaking his head. Even if that is true, even if this thing works the way you say, think about what it means. Think about what it could do. I stiffened. What it could do? He leaned forward, eyes bright. You could take out murderers before they strike again. Rapists, tyrants, anyone who deserves it. One word and they are gone. No trial, no prison, no mess. Justice, clean and absolute. Emily recoiled. That is not justice. That is murder. Kevin shot her a glare. And what do you call what those monsters do? You think the system is clean? You think it protects anyone? He tapped the index with one finger. This is the answer we never had. The book seemed to pulse under his touch, the leather groaning faintly. I pulled it away from him. Do not touch it. Kevin's jaw tightened. You already used it, did you not? You spoke a name. My throat closed. It was an accident. Accident or not, it worked. You saw it. So why stop now? Why waste power that could change everything? Emily slammed her hand on the table. Because it is evil. Because no one should decide who lives or dies. Kevin turned to me. Tell me you have never thought about it. Tell me there's not one person you wish had never drawn breath. I opened my mouth, but no sound came. Faces flickered in my mind. Men who had hurt, men who had destroyed. I hated myself for even thinking it. Kevin saw the hesitation and smiled grimly. Exactly. Henry Collins, silent until now, finally spoke. This is how it begins. The index whispers temptation. The more you justify, the deeper it digs. The sect that created it thought they were serving God. In truth, they served nothing but the book itself. Kevin rolled his eyes. You sound like Father Matthew. All fear and no solution. Henry leaned forward, his voice low. The solution is simple. Lock it away. Never speak from it again. But even as he said it, the index rustled faintly, a whisper of pages turning though no hand touched it. I slammed it shut. Enough! This is not a tool. It's a curse. Kevin shook his head, frustration twisting his features. If you do not use it, someone else will, and maybe they will not be as careful as you. His words lingered long after he stormed out. That night I could not sleep. The index lay in my apartment, locked in a drawer, yet I swore I heard the faint scrape of pages turning in the dark. When I opened the drawer, the book sat still, silent, but a new line of ink had appeared on the page. Not a name I recognized, not yet, but it was fresh, wet, as if waiting for me to read it. The first time I saw Lucas Grant was not in the library. It was outside in the courtyard, just past midnight. The campus was quiet, the lamps buzzing faintly, and yet he stood there as if he had been waiting for me. He was tall, sharp-faced, with eyes that burned too bright for a stranger. He smiled when he saw me, and the expression carried no warmth. "David Carter," he said softly. I froze. "Do I know you?" "You have something that does not belong to you." My chest tightened. I had locked the index in my office, hidden under keys no one else possessed. "I do not know what you are talking about." Lucas tilted his head. "You do. The book has chosen you, and so have I." Well, before I could answer, Emily appeared behind me, carrying a stack of notes she refused to leave unattended. Her eyes narrowed at Lucas. "Who are you?" He ignored her. His gaze never left mine. "Do not waste it, Carter. Do not treat it like poison. The index is not a curse. It is a gift." His words cut through me, echoes of Kevin's argument just days before. I stepped closer, lowering my voice. "How do you know about it?" Lucas's smile widened. "Because I have searched for it all my life. The index does not hide forever. It finds who it needs, and now it has found you." Emily pulled at my arm. "David, we should go." But I could not move. "What do you want?" "What we all want," Lucas said. "A world without rot. A world without the vile who poison it. The index is the scalpel. You are the hand. Together, we can cut away the disease." Something in his voice unsettled me. It was not pleading. It was certainty, the faith of a zealot. "You are insane," Emily spat. Lucas finally looked at her. His eyes gleamed. "Names are doors, Miss Rhodes. Open the right one, and entire generations are cleansed." I grabbed Emily's arm and pulled her back toward the library. "Stay away from us!" Lucas did not follow. His voice floated after us, calm and terrible. "You cannot hide it. I will have it, and when I do, you will thank me." Inside, we locked every door. I pressed my hands against the drawer that held the index. The wood was cold, humming faintly as though the book within had heard every word. The next morning, Kevin Price barged into my office. "You look like hell," he said. "Who was that guy I saw outside last night? Tall, dressed like he walked out of a funeral." I hesitated. "Lucas Grant. He wants the index." Kevin whistled low. "So it is not just us." "Great. What does he want with it?" I repeated Lucas's words. Kevin's expression hardened. "Sounds like he and I agree on at least one thing. The book could fix this world." Emily glared at him. "It will destroy you before it fixes anything." Kevin threw up his hands. "You do not know that. Maybe Lucas is crazy, but he's not wrong about one thing. If someone is going to use it, better us than him." I slammed my hand on the desk. No one is using it. Not him, not you, not me. Silence fell, but the drawer rattled faintly, as if the index disagreed. That night I dreamed of pages turning by themselves, names spilled down the parchment in endless lines, each one a voice screaming to be read. At the end of the dream, Lucas stood beside me, smiling as I spoke them one after another. When I woke, the drawer was open. The index lay on the floor, its pages wide, the ink of new names still glistening red. The index no longer waited for me to open it. It lived inside my head. At first it was faint, like a scrap of memory carried on the edge of sleep, a whisper I almost dismissed. But the whisper had a name, and that name hollowed me out. David. I froze in my bed, the darkness pressing close. It was her voice, Sarah, my sister's voice, the same trembling tone she had used the night the fire took her. I sat upright, gasping, heart hammering. No, you are gone. The whisper slid soft through the dark. You left me. You let me burn. But I am not gone. I gripped the sheets until my knuckles ached. You are not her. You cannot be her. But the voice knew things no book could know. It spoke of the smell of smoke, the locked door, the way I had screamed her name until my throat tore raw. Tears stung my eyes. Sarah, the whisper grew sharper. Say the names, David. Free them. Free me. The drawer across the room rattled. I stumbled to it, pulled it open with shaking hands. The index lay waiting, pages fluttering though no wind stirred. I slammed it shut, shoved it back, locked the drawer. But even with the wood between us, the whisper seeped through. Do not let me be forgotten. The next day, Emily noticed the circles under my eyes. You did not sleep. I avoided her gaze. Dreams. Kevin leaned against the wall, arms crossed. Let me guess. The book. I snapped, louder than I meant. Do not call it that. They stared at me. I turned away, ashamed, but the anger still burned. The index was mine. It had spoken to me. That night the voice returned, stronger. Not only whispers, but laughter, songs we had shared as children, memories twisted with smoke. I pressed my hands to my ears, but the sound came from inside. I opened the index on my desk, desperate to prove it was only madness. But the page before me glistened wet with new ink. Sarah Carter. The letters shimmered red, the date blank, as if waiting. No, I whispered. Not you. The voice answered, sweet as poison. Read me, David. Speak me. Bring me back. I slammed the book shut. My body shook. My mind screamed to resist, but a part of me ached with longing. If there was even a chance, even a sliver of truth. A knock shattered the moment. Emily pushed the door open, her eyes narrowing when she saw the index on the desk. You are listening to it, she said. I am not, I lied, my voice hoarse. Kevin stepped in behind her, his face tense. He is cracking. Look at him. The damn thing is eating him alive. Emily touched my arm. David, please, do not let it use her voice. I jerked away. You do not understand. You never lost her. Kevin muttered, or maybe he finally understands what this book is for. I glared at him. What are you talking about? He shrugged. If it can give you Sarah back, what else can it give? Justice? Power? Maybe Lucas is right. The name made me flinch. Lucas Grant was out there, circling, waiting. The index had drawn him too, and maybe it whispered to him in voices he loved. I shoved the book back into the drawer, locking it tight. No one opens it again. Do you hear me? No one. But that night, when the campus lay silent and the moon hung pale, the whisper returned. David, you already opened it. You already belong to me. Father Matthew came to the library late in the evening, long after the students had gone home. His steps echoed heavy in the hall, as if he carried more than his own weight. When he entered my office, his eyes went straight to the locked drawer where the index waited. I should never have left you with it, he said. I folded my arms. Then take it. Burn it. Do what you should have done centuries ago. His face tightened. You think it was never tried? You think holy fire and blessed water have not touched those pages? The index endures. Always it endures. Emily stood by the window, her hands clenched. So what did the church do instead? Hide it? Father Matthew hesitated. That silence told us everything. Kevin leaned forward. You knew. All this time the Vatican had it, and you kept it buried. The decision was not mine, Father Matthew whispered. Rome feared what destruction might unleash. They believed it safer to bind the index and seal it in shadow. My chest burned. Safer for who? How many names have been added while it was hidden? How many souls swallowed because they locked it away instead of ending it? His shoulders sagged. Too many. I felt heat rise in my face. Betrayal cut deeper than fear. All my life I had believed the church stood for protection, for light, but now I saw only secrecy, cowardice. Kevin smirked bitterly. See? They knew it worked. They knew it had power. They just wanted it for themselves. Emily shook her head. That is not true. They were afraid. Afraid of what? Kevin shot back. Afraid of using it? Afraid of making the world better? Father Matthew raised his hand, his voice trembling. No one should wield such judgment. Only God. The lights flickered, cutting him off. A shadow stretched long across the office wall, though no one stood there. I turned. Lucas Grant leaned against the doorframe, his smile razor-thin. And yet here it is, Father. Not in Rome, not in some vault. Here, with David. Emily stiffened. How did you get in? Lucas ignored her. His gaze was fixed on me. Do you see it now, Carter? The church had their chance and wasted it. They cowered, they hid. But you could do what they never dared. Father Matthew's eyes blazed. Do not listen to him. He is the serpent in the garden, Lucas chuckled. If truth is a serpent, then perhaps the garden deserves to be bitten. Kevin shifted uneasily, but did not look away. What truth? Lucas stepped closer. His voice dropped, soft but magnetic. The index does not damn the innocent. It records the guilty. Every name inside is there for a reason. Speak them, and you're not murdering. You are cleansing. Emily shook her head fiercely. That is a lie. Richard Hall, the man I spoke, he did nothing. Lucas tilted his head. Did he? Or did you simply not know his sins? The index knows. That is why it endures. That is why the church feared it. The room spun around me. My faith in the church was already cracked. Lucas's words slid into those cracks like ice. Father Matthew slammed his palm on the desk. You are twisting it. The index tempts. It deceives. That is its true power. Lucas's smile widened. And yet your God left it here. Why? Perhaps he wanted someone brave enough to use it. Kevin's voice was low, almost to himself. Maybe he is right, I snapped toward him. Kevin! He met my eyes, restless fire in his. Think about it, David. What if every tyrant, every monster could be erased with a single word? How many lives would be saved? Emily grabbed my arm. And how many innocent lives would be lost when it takes you with them? Do not let it trick you. The index rattled inside the drawer, as if laughing at us all. Lucas leaned close, his whisper meant for me alone. You already hear her voice, do you not? Your sister. She calls from its pages. Say her name, Carter. Free her. The drawer thudded once, a heartbeat of leather and ink. I closed my eyes, torn between the priest's trembling warnings and the zealot's intoxicating promise. Kevin paced the office like a caged animal, running his hands through his hair. His voice was raw. I cannot take it anymore. The whispers, the waiting. Every time that thing opens itself, I feel like it is looking at me. Emily stood between him and the desk drawer. You think we are not scared, too? But burning it will not work. Kevin barked a laugh that cracked halfway. How do you know? Have you tried? Or are we just going to sit here while it writes more names? Father Matthew shook his head. Do not. Fire has touched it before. Holy fire, still it endures. Kevin grabbed the drawer, yanking it open. The index thudded onto the desk, its cover flexing as though it breathed. The leather seemed darker than ever, almost wet. "Kevin!" I shouted, but he already had his lighter in hand. The flame flared, reflected in his wide eyes. "I am ending this," he hissed. "If you cannot see what it is doing to us, then I will." He pressed the flame to the corner of the pages. For an instant, nothing happened. Then the index inhaled. That was the only word for it. The fire bent inward, sucked into the parchment. The room roared with heat, though no smoke rose. Kevin staggered back. "What?" The pages turned themselves, faster and faster, whipping like a storm. Names blurred into one another. Black ink spilling across the air like wings of shadow. From the book poured a scream. Not Kevin's, not mine, not human. Thousands of voices wailed at once, twisting in agony and ecstasy. The walls shook. Lights burst overhead. Kevin stumbled toward the door, but his body froze mid-stride. Ink bled across his arms, letters crawling under his skin. He screamed, clawing at his flesh, but the names kept writing themselves, covering him head to toe. "Help me!" he begged. "David, help me!" I lunged forward, but Father Matthew dragged me back. "Do not touch him!" The index snapped shut with a sound like a coffin ceiling. Kevin's scream cut off instantly. When the silence fell, the room reeked of scorched paper and iron. The book lay motionless on the desk. Its cover was unmarked, unburned, but when Emily forced herself to open it with trembling hands, a fresh name gleamed in wet ink across the newest page. Kevin Price. The date was today. Emily sobbed, slamming the book closed. Father Matthew pressed his hands together, whispering prayers that shook with fear. I stood frozen, my stomach hollow, my throat dry. Kevin was gone. Not dead in the way Richard Hall had died, not collapsed on the street. He had been taken, consumed. His name glowing inside proved it. I saw his eyes again, wild with terror. His voice begging me to help. I had done nothing. The index pulsed beneath its leather cover, satisfied. That night I could not leave the office. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw Kevin's body vanishing into letters, his scream cut short. When dawn finally came, I sat at the desk with the index open before me. The pages fluttered, as if anticipating my choice. And then the whisper returned. "David," Sarah's voice, sweet and aching. "You let him go. Will you let me go too?" The storm broke 2 nights after Kevin vanished. Rain lashed against the windows, thunder rattled the walls, and in the middle of it all, Lucas Grant came for the index. He did not bother with doors. One moment the office was empty, the next he stood in the doorway, soaked but smiling, as if the storm had carried him here. "David," he said, voice smooth, "it is time." Emily backed away from the desk, clutching her chest. Father Matthew stepped forward, holding a wooden crucifix like a weapon. "You will not touch it," the priest growled. Lucas's smile widened. "Do not pretend you have not thought about it yourself, old man. You've carried guilt for decades while Rome buried the truth. Let me free you of it." He strode toward the desk. I blocked his path, my hand on the index. "You are not taking it." His eyes gleamed. "You cannot stop me. The book does not belong to you any more than it belonged to the Vatican. It belongs to whoever is strong enough to wield it." Father Matthew raised the crucifix. "Then face judgment." Lucas's hand shot out. He spoke a name. The sound cracked like thunder. Father Matthew froze, eyes wide, before collapsing to the floor. His body convulsed once, then stilled. Emily screamed. Lucas tilted his head. "See? One word. That is all it takes. And you, David, you could be the one to shape the world with it." My hand trembled on the cover of the index. The leather pulsed under my palm, alive, eager. Lucas leaned closer, whispering, "Say a name, any name. You will feel it. You will understand." The book shuddered. Pages flipped open, revealing names I did not recognize, names I had never seen before. My voice caught in my throat, and then I realized the names were not random. They were people I had been thinking about, neighbors, professors, strangers I had passed on the street. The index was pulling them from my memory, carving them onto its pages as if to tempt me. "No," I whispered, "this is not yours to command." Lucas laughed. "But it is. It is yours, and yours alone. You see it now, do you not? The index reflects the will of the hand that holds it. It listens to your thoughts, your desires, your doubts. That is why you were chosen, not me, not the church. You." His words sank into me like hooks. Emily's voice cracked. "David, do not listen. He's twisting it." But part of me knew Lucas spoke the truth. When I had thought of Sarah, her name had appeared. When Kevin had burned with fear, his name had been written. The index was not random. It was a mirror. Lucas thrust his hand forward. "Give it to me, and I will show you what it was meant for." The storm outside roared louder, windows rattling. I gripped the index tighter. The leather burned cold against my skin, veins of ink crawling up my wrist. "No," I said, "it will never be yours." He snarled, lunging at me. We struggled, the book between us. Pages tore open, ink spraying like blood. The names glowed red, screaming. I felt them, millions of voices clawing through me, begging to be read, begging to be freed. Lucas shouted a name, but the sound fizzled, the power slipping from him. His eyes widened. Why does it not answer me? And then I understood. The index had already chosen. The strength surged through my hands. The pages bent to me, not to him. Every name he tried to speak was swallowed in silence. He stared at me with rage and desperation. "You cannot stop what is written. It is stronger than you." I forced him back, slamming the index shut. The echo cracked through the office like a gunshot. Lucas staggered, caught in the backlash. Ink burst across his chest, letters scrawling up his throat. His scream was short, cut off as his body folded inward, collapsing into the book itself. The index rattled once, then lay still. Silence. Only the storm outside and Emily's ragged breath. I sank to my knees, clutching the book to my chest. Its weight was unbearable, heavier than any stone. Emily whispered, "David, what did you do?" I looked down at my hands, veins stained with ink. The answer was simple, and yet it hollowed me out. "The index listens," I said, "and now it listens to me." The storm passed by morning. The campus stood quiet, streets slick with rain, the world pretending nothing had happened. Inside the office, silence pressed heavier than the night before. Lucas was gone. Father Matthew lay still on the floor, his eyes closed as if in sleep. Emily knelt beside him, whispering prayers through trembling lips. I sat at the desk with the index before me. Its cover was shut, the leather scarred with fresh cracks, as if it had endured centuries of struggle in a single night. I pressed my palms against it, half expecting it to twitch, to breathe, to speak, but it was silent. Emily's voice was thin. "Is it over?" I wanted to tell her yes. I wanted to believe it myself. "He is gone. The book is closed. That is all that matters." She shook her head. "No, David, that is not all. It has you." I could not argue. The veins of ink still clung to my wrist, faint black lines under the skin like a tattoo carved by something not human. I pulled my sleeve down to hide it. We buried Father Matthew in the churchyard that afternoon. Only a few gathered, professors, students, those who remembered his soft lectures and quiet smile. No one knew the truth of his death. Only we carried that weight. After the burial, Emily left town. She said she could not stay near the book, near me. She hugged me once tight, tears streaking her cheeks. "Please," she whispered, "do not let it take you too." Then she was gone. That night I returned to the office alone. The index waited where I had left it. For hours I sat staring at the cover, fighting the urge to open it. But the silence was worse than the whispers. The quiet was unbearable, pressing against my skull. Finally, with shaking hands, I pulled the book open. The pages fluttered until they stopped at the end. Most of it was blank, untouched parchment yellowed with age. Only one line of fresh ink gleamed. The handwriting was mine. David Carter. Today, my breath caught, my vision swam. I touched the letters, half expecting them to smear, to bleed, to vanish. But they stayed. My name, my hand, my day. The index pulsed once under my fingers, a faint heartbeat. I whispered into the empty room, "No." But deep inside, I already knew the truth. The index had never needed Lucas. It had never needed Kevin or Emily or even Rome. It had needed me. The storm outside began again, wind rattling the windows. The candle on my desk guttered low. The pages shivered beneath my hands, eager for the next name. And I realized there was nothing left to give but mine. The light went out.